come and pass, one after the last, and along we go. The shift and pull of the tides never sleeps. But if I had a boat and oceans to cross, then I would sail them, since I have this promise to keep. And I will stay with you until the world
So this is what I've been waiting for a few days. This is an MPPT solar panel controller. Now I must admit to knowing nothing about these until I was contacted by a viewer who suggested adding one of these to my solar setup. So thanks to Dexter's Lab for the tip. There are in the main two different types of controller, a PWM and an MPPT. This controller here, which came with the solar panel setup, is a PWM, and this controls the 120 watt solar panel which charges the two house batteries. And this is a PWM, and this controls the 25 watt solar panel which charges the starter battery. PWM stands for pulse width modulation. It pulses power into the battery and modulates the length of the pulse, and it works at 13 volts. A PWM is not able to boost that voltage any higher. They are reasonably cheap and they're tried and tested technology, but because they only charge at the battery voltage, they're only about 70% efficient. MPPT stands for maximum power point tracking, and they're much more technologically advanced systems, and they will charge your battery much better. They're able to make the most of the solar panel, and they're much more efficient than the PWM. This one also has Bluetooth technology and is a smart solar charger controller. So therefore, with an app on my phone, I will be able to see the state of the batteries and how well they are being charged. So my first task today on this rather bleak November day is to change the solar panel controllers and try and get some more charge out of the solar panels. So the first thing I'm going to do is to disconnect the solar panel from the PWM. So that's these two wires here. And then I need to disconnect the wires to the battery. And now I need to remove the PWM altogether. In order to fix the MPPT unit, I've just had to put 4 screws in the corners, and then wiring it up. It's battery positive, negative, then negative, positive for the solar panel. So you've got 2 negatives. Okay, so there we are. Being able to just change one controller for another was a fairly easy job, really. Just a bit of a wire, and you can already see the green light is on, which means it's now in the float operation, whatever that is. Presumably it is working. So I'm now going to pair it up with the Bluetooth on my phone. Now I already downloaded the app at home because I thought it would be a lot easier, but there we have the Smart Solar MPPT 7515, which is this one, already displayed. So it's now asking me to update, which I was warned about. And this will show us the state of play. Solar voltage 21.30 volts. The battery voltage is 13.80. So now I've got a little bit more power coming into the boat from the solar panels. Next job I want to do today is to add a second one of these to the boat. So I've got 2. These are 80 watts each, so they don't draw an awful lot out of the batteries. So I think this is okay, but on a really cold day I could do with an extra one. And these are quite reasonably priced. This was £22, and they're very efficient. So I'm just going to sight one underneath the other, so they're both on the same side of the boat, otherwise they get in the way. I'm not going to do any rewiring of these at the moment. I'm just going to use an adapter. I want to see how well they perform with the inverter before I start messing them around. So there we have 2 of these bars, and they're both working, and don't seem to be any issues with the inverter. So that would be really useful more during the spring and summer, really, when it's a cold evening or something like that. Just want to put that on rather than put on the diesel heater. So one of the questions I often get asked is, how do you stay warm on a GRP boat? Well, tonight it's November the 24th, 2021, and the outside temperature is around about 5 or 6 degrees, and in here at the moment it's around about 22, 23 degrees. Which I think is plenty warm enough. The heating that I've got on at the moment, I've got the Chinese diesel heater, which I have turned up slightly. I normally have it on the lowest setting, but with it being a bit chilly tonight, I have turned it up 4 degrees, so it's warm enough. And also on the deck, it's pumping out warm air there, so it's a reasonable temperature. I also have my Uco candles here, and I think they're more of a psychological effect than anything else. They just make you feel warm. That's a nice glow. There are 3 candles in each of those, so you've got 6 candles, and there's a scented one there, so that's 7 candles altogether. So that's 7, 8, so that's 560 watts of energy there, so that's quite a nice warm spot. And also it's helping to boil some water up so I can use it for washing up. I've had a couple of issues with the Chinese diesel heater in the last couple of months. I found that the pump was defective, so I've had to wait for a new pump to arrive from China, so that took some time, which is why I went out and last time I used this bar and I felt it wasn't quite enough really. It wouldn't be tonight, I don't think, it's too cold for it, but those 2 there would help, certainly help to take the chill off. These are 80 watts each, so that's another 160 watts. So if you combine that with the Uco heaters, that's quite a reasonable amount of heat in a small space. So the main thing with a GRP is to try and use heat which is a dry heat. The candles produce a dry heat, and the heat from the Chinese diesel heater is a dry heat, and it's coming from the diesel heater unit, which is way back on the deck of the boat, so it's just being pumped through a series of vents to this part of the boat. And I'll leave that on all night. I might turn it down a little bit, but it does help to reduce the condensation. Condensation is the biggest problem that you have on a GRP, so if you can try and have a bit of heat on, that will help to reduce that, and also some ventilation. So I tend to leave the hatch at the top here slightly ajar, so that will help with reducing the amount of condensation. When it comes to hot water, I have to boil a kettle for hot water, but once it's boiled I always make a habit of pouring the excess water into one of these vacuum pot things, and so that's full at the moment. There's plenty of hot water there for washing up and washing. I'll also use that later on if it's still hot enough to fill a hot water bottle. That's nice and cosy. As it is quite a cold night tonight, I've got my homemade tea light holder, which gives a nice hot radiant heat. There's actually 2 plant pots one inside the other there, so there's an airspace in between, so the outer one doesn't get absolutely red hot, it just radiates the heat from the one inside. What you do have to be careful is that these don't spill over and the wax run down the thread in the middle of the heater. So it's a bit of a chilly 5 degrees outside at the moment. It's about 5 minutes past 11 and it's 20 degrees in here, and the only thing that I have switched on at the moment is the Chinese diesel heater, and I turn that right down to its lowest setting, and I've got a lovely hot water bottle here just keeping the chill off, and I'm going to enjoy hopefully a cosy sleep. Well, a very good morning to you. It's Wednesday the 25th of November 2021 and I had a really good sleep. It got down to about 1 or 0 degrees even during the night, but I maintained a reasonable amount of heat in here with the Chinese diesel heater, and then when I woke at about 6:30 I simply just grabbed the little controller and I turned it up 4 degrees, and it's now just about 20 degrees in here. So it's time for a cup of tea. There is a certain amount of condensation on the windows, which you would expect really on a single glazed window, but nothing too excessive, nothing that a piece of kitchen roll won't sort out. It's just 7:30, so I thought I'd just pop out and show you how cold it's been in the night. The water on the top of the canopy cover here is frozen, so it must have got down to freezing point last night. On the panel, it's quite solid. This is a view of the countryside at the side of the mooring. So you can see it's quite a frosty start. So I definitely think it's time for me to put the planks on the side of the boat before I leave the mooring today. The weather forecast for the next few weeks looks as though it is going to turn a little bit more wintry. My car is well frozen. So I just thought I would take a quick stroll along the towpath this morning. Nobody about, and where it was muddy it's now quite firm. You see the water on the Ashby is quite high at the moment, which is unusual. When I'm coming up the Ashby Canal, this is the point where I first get a glimpse of the home mooring. If I just pan in, I can see the swamp duck. What a beautiful setting. And this is bridge 33. So it's getting quite chilly now, having been out for about half an hour, so I think it's time to go back and another cup of tea and some breakfast. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please press the subscription button on the bottom right hand corner of the screen on your mobile phone or tablet. Please press the bell icon on the home page of the channel and you'll be notified by YouTube each time I upload a new video. Please give us a thumbs up and make any comments below, as I do enjoy reading them and I will respond to each and every one of them. So thank you very much for watching and do take care.
I'm putting on a show for the world to see. No one will ever know that without you I'm forever blue. Yeah, I'm putting on a show for the world to see. No one will ever know that without you I'm forever blue.